Recording flickered with static. Black bars rolled across the surveillance feed while distorted audio crackled softly through the war chamber speakers of House Rain. Then the image stabilized. Kenny, Lyra, Pines. Standing within the forests of Eidolon Reach beneath silver sunlight, while the strange mistrunner sat proudly atop Pine's head, chirping happily. The creature phased suddenly from Pines onto Kenny's shoulder while the three laughed quietly together near the forest stream. Cassian Rain stared at the projection without emotion. Lord Rain looked furious. The war chamber around them glowed dimly beneath stormlight pouring through the fortress windows of Varenth, while hidden surveillance drones continued feeding live footage from Eidolon Reach directly into the chamber. The old patriarch finally spoke. He smiles around them. Lord Rain folded his arms tightly. That weakness will consume him eventually. The projection continued playing. Pines attempted feeding another dawn fruit berry toward the mistrunner only for the creature to steal the entire satchel before phasing halfway up a nearby tree. Lyra laughed openly. Kenny actually smiled, not the cold, almost smile he used during ceremonies, a real one. Cassian narrowed his eyes slightly. I have never seen that expression on him before. Lord Rain remained silent, because neither had ever given Kenny a reason to smile growing up. The recording shifted angles slightly as another hidden drone adjusted position through the forest canopy. The trio remained completely unaware they were being watched, for now. Lord Rain finally looked away from the projection. He is building attachments too quickly. Cassian slowly nodded. The settlers already worship him. The holographic population reports remained active beside the surveillance feed. Eidolon Reach population 1, 8 million. Projected growth, accelerating. Colonial approval rating, 93%. Public support of Kenny Rain, extreme. The old patriarch stared at the numbers with growing concern. He should have isolated himself after Eclipse. Lord Rain answered quietly. He was raised isolated. Cassian looked toward him sharply, and now he rejects it entirely. Silence settled across the chamber. Outside the fortress, frozen rain hammered against black stone walls while distant oceans crashed far below the cliffs of Varenth. The projection shifted again. Kenny now sat beside the riverbank quietly while Rissel rested comfortably near him. Pines spoke animatedly nearby while Lyra cleaned one of her combat blades beneath the trees. They looked peaceful, human. That disturbed House Rain more than any battlefield ever had. Cassian slowly stepped closer toward the projection. He was supposed to become loyal through solitude. Lord Rain's voice hardened slightly. He was. Cassian turned toward him immediately. No. The old patriarch's eyes sharpened dangerously. He became independent. That silence afterward felt heavier than before, because both finally understood the same truth. Kenny no longer needed House Rain, not politically, not financially, not emotionally. And now, he owned an entire world. The projection zoomed inward toward Rissel, while the creature phased playfully through nearby stones. Cassian studied the footage carefully. What is that animal? Lord Rain activated another data file. The native species discovered on Eidolon Reach. The report expanded. Mist runners, stormbacks, dawn fruit. Cassian read quietly for several moments. Then his expression shifted slightly. Interesting. Lord Rain noticed immediately. What? The old patriarch highlighted one section of the report. Dawn fruit neural synchronization properties, bonding agents. Another file opened. Potential military applications. Enhanced scouting neural response acceleration, empathic synchronization. Cassian's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. The planet itself is becoming strategically valuable. Lord Rain looked back toward the projection. Kenny now stood again while Rissel followed closely behind him through the forests. The settlers adored him. The Empire protected him. The planet strengthened him. And worst of all, the boy genuinely seemed happy there. Lord Rain finally spoke the thought neither wanted to say aloud. If he exposes us publicly, Cassian answered instantly. The frontier systems fracture. The projection screens surrounding the chamber shifted again, displaying House Rain-controlled territories across outer space. Mining worlds, military colonies, trade sectors. Everything they built relied on image, strength, honor, protection. If Kenny revealed the truth, if the Empire supported him publicly, entire worlds might turn against House Rain overnight. The old patriarch finally stepped away from the projections entirely, then quietly spoke the sentence that changed everything. He cannot be allowed to live. Silence, no hesitation anymore, no uncertainty, just decision. Lord Rain looked toward his father carefully. Direct assassination would expose us. Cassian nodded once. Then we make his death appear natural. The war chamber lights dimmed slightly, while additional hidden files activated across the holographic displays. Contingency plans, old Eclipse-era contacts, private mercenary groups, deep cover agents. House Rain had prepared for betrayal long before Kenny existed. Cassian studied the files calmly. We begin with isolation. Lord Rain folded his arms. He trusts very few people. Then we remove those people first. The projection shifted toward Pines and Lyra laughing near the forest stream. Lord Rain watched them silently. They survived Eclipse beside him. Cassian's expression remained cold, which means eventually they become leverage. The old patriarch activated another hidden file. Operation Hollow Veil, deep infiltration protocols, long-range colonial destabilization, economic sabotage, civil unrest seeding, targeted elimination operations. Lord Rain studied the files carefully. You prepared this already? Cassian looked almost irritated by the question. I prepared for every possible threat to House Rain decades ago. The projection zoomed outward from Eidolon Reach, showing the growing colonial cities beneath twin suns. Nova Reach, Calder's Bay. Settlers moved through streets proudly carrying Reaper symbols, while supply transports descended from orbit constantly. The old patriarch watched the colony growth quietly. He is building loyalty too quickly. Lord Rain finally looked back toward the hidden surveillance footage. Kenny now crouched beside Rissel near the riverbank, while the creature rested comfortably against him for a brief moment. The champion of Eclipse looked peaceful. Cassian noticed it too, then quietly asked, "Do you regret it?" Lord Rain looked toward him sharply. Regret what? The mother. Silence. The projection continued rolling softly through the chamber while the mountain forests of Eidolon Reach moved peacefully beneath sunlight. Lord Rain finally answered, "No." But his voice carried hesitation now. Tiny. Almost invisible. Cassian noticed immediately. That irritated him more than the answer itself. The old patriarch stepped closer toward his son. You did what was necessary. Lord Rain remained silent. Cassian's voice hardened. House Rain survives because weakness is removed before it spreads. The hidden meaning behind the statement settled heavily between them. Then another figure entered the war chamber. Darius Rain, Kenny's uncle. He immediately noticed the surveillance projections and the atmosphere. His expression darkened instantly. What are you doing? Neither Cassian nor Lord Rain answered immediately. Darius stepped closer toward the projections of Eidolon Reach, then saw the hidden operation files. His eyes sharpened. Number Cassian looked toward him calmly. The boy has become unstable. Darius immediately laughed once. Cold. Unstable? He pointed directly toward the projection of Kenny and the others. That is the happiest I have ever seen him. Lord Rain's voice hardened. He threatened House Rain itself. Darius turned toward him instantly. Good. Silence exploded through the chamber. Even Cassian looked surprised by the answer. Darius stepped closer now, openly furious. You created this. He pointed toward Lord Rain. You murdered his mother, then toward Cassian, and you turned our bloodline into monsters hiding behind military banners and public speeches. The old patriarch's expression darkened dangerously. Careful. No. Darius stepped forward again. I'm tired of being careful. The storm outside intensified violently around the fortress, while the surveillance footage of Eidolon Reach continued glowing softly beside them. Darius looked toward Kenny's image quietly. You should leave him alone, Cassian answered coldly. He threatens House Rain. Darius nodded once. Because House Rain deserves to be threatened. The room went still, then Cassian slowly deactivated the surveillance projection entirely. Darkness swallowed the image of Eidolon Reach, and somewhere beneath that silence, the first true fracture inside House Rain finally began opening wide enough to consume them all.